Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the first video on this channel. This is a channel about essentially fucking anything I decide to put on it, but it's mostly going to be about a political standpoint in which I have against a lot of people on this website. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to bring in a juicy one. This person believes that fucking poor people deserve nice things too, and we'll see what they have to say.
Alright, here's the thing. I have this really controversial opinion that poor people deserve nice things every once in a while. I think poor people don't have to be constantly suffering and struggling. I don't know why that's controversial, but here we are.
Poor people deserving nice things, we first have to figure out what deserve actually means, right? So, we go to our trusty dictionary.com and we figure out what the fuck deserve means. We see used with object, which is money. It is to merit, be qualified for, or have a claim to, reward, assistance, punishment, etc. because of actions, qualities, or situation. This entails that the to merit part is work, to be working and doing something. The qualification part is to abide by specific characteristics in which you would need for this specific deserving of whatever you are fucking trying to be deserving of. And have a claim to, meaning that you should, and you believe that you should be deserving of it because of actions, qualities. So actions, I'd say it would be working. For instance, poor people can be poor and still have a job, but the reason why they are poor is either they're not making enough money, or they're making a lot of money and they're spending it on things in which they have to spend it on. Not spending it on, fucking luxury goods and luxury items, materialism, but spending it on so much because people could be making a lot of money and have a lot of kids and still be poor. Qualities would be if you're an American citizen, if you're living in this country, you own a house, and you're taking the actions necessary to stop yourself from being poor, and the situation is exactly why you're poor to begin with.
More recently, you may have heard about bills being proposed to stop poor people from spending food stamp money on soda, fast food, steak, lobster, all that kind of stuff.
See, these legislations are proposed because of one reason. These things are made by other people, by laborers, in which pay the taxes for them to have these food stamps to begin with. So that means if you're going out and buying Big Macs and shit on your food stamps, you may be eating the same than most middle class families, because fast food is designed so that you can get your food fast. It's not designed to be a fucking meal for your family. And no fast food restaurant has ever claimed that this is a great meal for your family. There's no reason why people that are poor and down on their luck and they have to use welfare in order to get their food should be able to go and have the luxuries of when you have a lot of money, excess money. They should be able to eat. I agree with that. But should they be able to eat everything they want to? If it's not their money, then they shouldn't.
To me, it seems like all of this stuff kind of stems from two ideas. The first is that poor people have to be in a constant state of suffering to really be poor. So if they have any kind of nice thing in their life, they're suddenly not poor and shouldn't be allowed to receive any kind of government assistance.
Now I'm going to break down these points one by one because this individual said there was 2 points. So the first one they said was that poor people should be in a consistent state of perpetually being poor, and whenever a nice thing they get comes up, they're no longer poor. Somewhere in this world it's illegal to be homeless because you're sitting out on the streets and shit on the sidewalk and can't live on the sidewalk. Why the fuck would this country want people to be poor and then automatically label them as not being poor if they go out and buy a video game with excess money they got? Just because you're able to get something new doesn't necessarily mean you're not poor anymore. So what is your point? Any normal human being would be able to see that. Anybody with any kind of conscious thought and higher thinking will be able to figure that out. That's this fucking retarded ass ideology you just spewed over here that you think people think is wrong.
The second part of this is that people think they're entitled to morally dictate the lives of welfare recipients because technically they're being paid with taxpayer money. For the first part of that, I think people just have no concept of what it's like to be poor. Like, a refrigerator is a pretty basic amenity in the US. You kinda need it to store food. I can imagine 500 scenarios where someone has a refrigerator and is still struggling financially.
Now I'm gonna go back and attack that second point, right? So, welfare recipients, people that pay for that, right? That's taxpayer money. And you mean to tell me that I can't, in this representative democracy, I shouldn't be allowed to dictate what the government does with my money? That's why we're called a republic to begin with, and why we have American constitutionalism. That's so that the people can tell the government what they can and cannot do with their taxes. You see, when I go pay taxes from my income tax or go out and buy something and pay sales tax, that money's being taken to the government because the government said, all right, 38% of your income tax goes to us. But the government is for the people, of the people, and by the people. So that means that the government that says that we need taxation of this amount can be voted out, and we can vote people in that say it should be less. That is possible because we're a representative democracy. We're a republic. We have representatives that cater to our point of view because we voted for them. We think what they think is how we think. And there are millions of different lingering variables in that situation alone. But I'm not going to get into that because it would be a long ass fucking video. But you have to understand, when I give the government my money, I give it by a social contract. Legal consent to give them my money. And if I feel the government isn't using my money properly, I should be able to vote it out and vote in a new one. And that's the way our country is built. So when I say poor people that are on welfare shouldn't be able to go out and buy a video game with the money in which I gave to them in order to give them food, it's the same thing as me saying to my brother, hey man, go and buy some tea, I'll give you $5. And he goes out and he buys a fucking race car instead. These two situations are exactly the same. And it just shows how socialism in this country can alter the minds of people into believing the government is responsible for the well-being and livelihood of every single individual in the country.
It's not like a fridge is some opulent sign of wealth. You could easily be living paycheck to paycheck, barely being able to afford your rent and eating instant ramen for dinner every night, while still living in an apartment with a fridge. But that's not the only thing. Like, a lot of poor families have cars. A car is often a necessity in areas that don't have a good public transportation system. And lots of jobs even discriminate against people who don't have a reliable form of transportation. So if a person or a family is able to save up for a car somehow, that doesn't automatically mean they're not poor anymore. You can be struggling financially and have some old beat up car that you use to get to work. Things that may have once been luxuries are now relatively accessible, like smartphones for instance. Lots of people seem to think that anyone who can afford a smartphone is not poor, but not every smartphone is a $700 iPhone. In fact, you can buy a smartphone on Amazon for like $50 now.
I don't actually see what your point is here. Like, you've already put your 2 points out on the table, and now you're trying to elaborate on them, which I understand that, and that's a grounds for good argument. But your argument is ridiculously weak already, because I was able to destroy them within the first 1 minute of this video. And now you're trying to save your ass because you put out these stupid fucking arguments. Now you're trying to make up all these retarded ass fucking points, try to support it. You're trying to build it up when it already broke down. Trying to put it back together with fucking glue of stupidity. It ain't happening. I ain't fucking buying it. I don't see your point here. You said, oh, if you buy a fucking smartphone, then, you know, smartphones are considered luxury items. I mean, I would consider expensive smartphones to be luxury items. If a family claims they're poor and every single one of them have iPhone 7s, then yeah, it'd be a little fucking suspicious. Why are they not being able to eat but they all got iPhone 7s? How the fuck would that make sense? How about you stop spending money on technology and actually spend it on food and living? You might be able to get to a position where you can spend it on both.
If someone manages to spend less money on certain things so they can afford a nicer car or a nicer smartphone, that's up to them. We all prioritize our money differently. Some people spend more money on entertainment, like video games and movies and going out. Others spend more money on their clothes or their makeup or their car. People are different and will prioritize things differently, even if they're working with very limited resources. I hate the idea that poor people all have to live the exact same life where they eat beans and rice and instant ramen every day and never splurge on anything and are constantly working to earn more money. People, regardless of their income level, deserve to feel joy sometimes.
In this situation where you said they shouldn't have to just eat ramen and beans and rice and work constantly to stay alive, do you know what the American dream is? Do you know what capitalism is? In this country, you have to work for what you got, and that means busting your balls for some dumbass shit until you can be successful. The reason why society is structured the way it is so that you can work really fucking hard at the beginning so that you can have a better life at the end. That's the way our society is structured. Now, in capitalism, success comes from hard work. In socialism, success doesn't exist. What you're saying is that regardless of where you came from, how hard you work, you should be able to buy whatever the fuck you want with taxpayer money. Now, why in the flying fuck would I go walk over to my fucking neighbor's house, being told by the government to do so, and give his kid $20 so he can go out and buy a video game? I don't care about my neighbor's kid more than my neighbor cares about mine. I have no fucking inclination whatsoever to go over and help them unless I voluntarily want to. There's a difference between volunteerism and force. And if you force me to give you money so you can go out and do whatever the fuck you want with it, I might as well not even fucking live in this goddamn country anymore.
People deserve to relax and have some time to themselves. If someone has a bad day and wants to get McDonald's on the way home from work rather than cooking an entire meal at home, that's their business.
You're right, it is their business. It is their business if they're having a bad day and they want to go to McDonald's and they want to get some food, and if they have enough money for it, they should be allowed to do so. They are allowed to do so. There's nothing wrong here. You're creating an issue where there are no issues. You're making a problem where there's no problems. You said, yeah, well, people should be able to go to McDonald's and fucking get food if they're having a bad day, then go and make an entire meal. You don't have to make an entire fucking meal at your house if you want to eat. Get a cup of soup, put hot water in that bitch, and then eat it fucking 30 seconds later. Like, there's no problem here. There's no problem. There's no issue. If you make little money, you get less shit. This world runs on money. If there was no money, the world wouldn't go round. This world needs you to have money so you can be an avid member of society and not mooching off all your fucking neighbors so you can live a deservingly happy life. Fuck you, man. I ain't giving you shit. That's my fucking money, and if you want to take it, I will tell you what you can do with it. Fucking cocksucker.
If someone wants to relax after a long week at work by buying a video game or going out with their friends, they have every right to do that. Poor people shouldn't have to be in a constant state of struggle, suffering all day, every day for their experiences to be valid.
I can't fucking handle this anymore. I can't handle it. It's just bad. I've already given arguments against this.
Lots of people who are in a really tough spot financially will spend money on stuff that makes them feel good, and that's okay. Because people aren't robots. You can't expect people to never want to treat themselves. Mentally, we need to feel good every once in a while. We need to take care of ourselves, and sometimes that requires spending money on things that aren't technically necessary for survival, but are very necessary for living.
Necessary for survival, but very necessary for living. Survival and living are both the same fucking thing. Let me throw this at you. Do you know what life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness means? That means that everybody in this country has the right to life. You have the right to live. You have the right to liberty. You have the right to be free, and you have the right of the pursuit of happiness. You are allowed to pursue happiness. And what that means, that's the American dream, is what that means. Pursuit of happiness dictates the fact that you can go out and you can work your ass off so you can live a luxurious life in the future. That's called the pursuit. That's why it's the pursuit and not the right of happiness. That's not fucking the right of life, liberty, and happiness. It's life, liberty, and the pursuit of that. I am pursuing success. I'd like to be successful in my life, and I would be happy if I was successful, which means that I am attempting to pursue happiness, which I'm given the right to do so. And you think poor people don't want to do that as well? Poor people need to be able to have that right as well, the pursuit of happiness, but they should not be given the right of happiness just because they're poor.
Those things are subjective. Everyone has different things that they'll like and spend money on. But okay, so maybe you're okay with poor people spending their own money on that, but what about when they're on welfare? Because then they're spending your money. When we talk about welfare, we're usually talking about food stamps through the SNAP program or income assistance through the TANF program. Both of these things are relatively small chunks of the federal budget, but they're definitely still taxpayer funded.
I'm gonna stop you right there before you continue. You did air quotes of your money? Are you fucking brain dead, stupid? If I give my money to somebody, that's my fucking money. If I give it to them for the purpose of them buying something, and I tell them what to do with it, that's still my money. Now, if I say, this is yours now, then it's theirs, and they have jurisdiction over it. But when I give my money in taxes to the government, that's mine. They take that from me. If I had a choice, I'd be like, fuck you, all that shit's mine. But now that it's taken from me, that's still my money. And the government is of the people, which means the government is me, which means my money is their money, and their money is my money, which means that money that people are given from welfare is mine, not theirs. They can spend whatever the fuck they want with their own money. But when you get shit from welfare, like food stamps, you better bet your fucking ass I'm telling you what you can do with it.
So shouldn't we have a say in exactly what poor people can buy with the money that's given to them through these programs? No, of course not.
This motherfucker just said we shouldn't have a say in what happens to our money. And I'm gonna go ahead and continue to see what this person has to say about that and how they back up that claim.
Because those people still deserve autonomy in how they choose to spend their money. It sounds really dystopian to imagine a society where rich people spend their money however they want while giving a small percentage of their money to poor people and then dictating exactly how those poor people can spend their money because of that.
Alright, first things first, rich people giving to poor people? We're not talking about the rich giving to the poor. That's a straw man. You completely negated the entire point of what you were talking about to a much stronger position in which you could oversimplify my argument and you could beat it. But I'm not going to let you fucking do that because I'm not stupid. You are. Here's the thing. Rich people giving small amount of their income to poor people and the rich people not being able to say what those people can do with it? What? Yes, they should. Because it's their fucking money. If rich people voluntarily give money to these people and they say, you can keep it and do whatever you want with it, then those people should be like, yeah. But if the government forces them to, at least allow them to be represented in that government, in which then they should be able to vote on legislation that says poor people can do this with the money that we gave to them. In American society, rich people aren't the only people that pay taxes, stupid. It's everybody. Even poor people pay taxes. Even poor people with welfare pay taxes for welfare. So don't you fucking dare fucking tell me that if an entire society of people is living in a country and they're all being taxed on the same thing, that those people should not be allowed to tell the government what they can do with the taxes. It's stupid. You can clearly see this is stupid. I don't like dismissing someone's argument because I think it sounds stupid, because arguments can sound stupid but be based on fucking actual concrete fact. But this is based on emotion, feelings, little fucking fifis. Fuck off.
So it's weird that we have different standards for poor people being paid by taxpayer money and federal employees being paid by taxpayer money. Maybe instead of worrying if poor people are spending their fixed monthly welfare money on a $2 soda, we could instead worry about Trump's $1 to $3 million trips to his golf course every weekend.
Here's the problem with what you just said there. Federal workers are paid by taxpayer money because they work for the government. They work for us. So we pay them. We pay this institution in which we created called the government, and then in return they create jobs to carry out their specific branches. That is very helpful to a society where the government can employ individuals to do their jobs. So representatives aren't out there trying to build infrastructure because they don't know how, because they fucking stupid. But here's my point. Federal workers work for the government. Poor people work for corporations, businesses, for anything that's not the government. And when you tell me that these two are the same scenario, you're wrong. Because should we be able to say what the federal government does? Yes. Yes, we most certainly should. And if workers of the federal government are doing this and that, should we be able to say what they can and cannot spend their money on? No. Do you want to know why? Because they're working for it. That's why. If you're working for that money, I'm giving this money to you because you're working for me. The same thing as an employer giving money to his employees. Same principle. The people that work for the government of the people are being employed by the people and representatives of those people, which means that in the government, when you work for it, you should be able to use that money however you want to because you worked for it. Now, when the government takes my money and gives it to somebody else, which is me, the people, I should be able to say how that money is used, which means whoever's using that money is dictated by me on how they can use it. But with their own money, they can use it however they want to.
Oh, and one last thing, drug testing welfare recipients. Every program that has ever been put in place to do that has actually cost taxpayers more money because testing is expensive and they rarely ever catch anyone. I don't think I need to make a lengthy argument about that. The data is pretty clear. But just on a moral level, I think it's wrong to deny someone money that they need for food or rent just because they smoke weed or something like that. Get over it. Let people live their lives.
Thing is, with our country, drugs cost a lot of fucking money. And it can make a family poor. That can cripple a family's salary and income if one or more members of that family who are working have a drug addiction. The government wants to know whether or not you are spending that money on things in which you need other than things in which you don't need. And them drug testing you is a very good way of being able to do that. Now, how effective this drug testing is up for debate, but the reasoning behind it is pretty solid. Can it be reformed in some way? Everything can certainly be reformed in some way. Things can always be looked over, and beliefs can always be questioned. Factual evidence trumps all. And when we look at reasoning and rational thought, it ties hand in hand with that. That is why welfare recipients are drug tested before they're given it. That's why I should be able to dictate what happens with my money in this country.
So yeah, basically it's not your job to tell other people how they spend their money. Everyone, including poor people, deserves to be able to spend their money on whatever makes them happy. You know, the pursuit of happiness and all that.
Did you just fucking say that to me? Did you just fucking say, you know, the pursuit of happiness, like you understand what that means? Don't you fucking dare quote that shit, because you have no fucking idea what you're talking about, and you are in no fucking position to start spewing out nonsense like that. The pursuit of happiness is in the wording. The pursuit of happiness. That means you're working to be happy. And when the government's giving you everything you fucking need to survive, what's the point of working, man? You're happy already. You get internet, you can go on YouTube, you live a comfortable life, the government gives you everything. There's no pursuit of happiness anymore. It's given. It's a given right. I don't want shitheads like you coming around quoting that and trying to use this backing for your argument, because guess what, sweetheart? That shit ain't working. You're fucking dumb. Everyone knows it. Relax. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I guess you can kind of see how ridiculous that kind of shit can be. And this is the kind of stuff that's going to be put onto this channel. This is the kind of stuff that's going to be frequently uploaded. Now, I may upload other shit, different stuff. That will be in the future. But I thank all of you greatly for watching this, and I appreciate it. Have a very nice day. Have a fantastic fucking life, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.